Hi, this is Fab Morvan, and you're listening to the Crisco Kid Block Party. Let's go.
It's the Crisco Kid Block Party.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. All right, folks, our next guest is one half of the iconic pop duo Milli Vanilli, a group that defined an era of pop music, dominated the charts, and sparked one of the most talked about moments in music history. More than 30 years later, Fab Morvan is stepping into a powerful new chapter defined by truth, redemption, and finally owning his own voice. Through his critically acclaimed memoir and audiobook, You Know It's True, he's opening up about the real human costs of fame, the pressure of the industry, and what it really takes to survive when the spotlight turns on you. With the new attention from recent documentaries and on social media, he's showing us all how you can outlive a cultural moment and redefine it on your own terms. Fab Morvan, welcome to the show.
Yeah, man. What an intro, man. Chris, wow. Thank you.
It took me a minute because I didn't want to make it too long, but then I was like, I can't make it too short because this is a legendary moment right here. And I feel like you having a legendary season. You're back, and before we start talking about the book and the music, I just want to know, man, are you good? How was the day today? It's got to feel good to be back on tour, promoting the book and Grammy weekend. Talk to me, Fab.
Listen, I'm going to break it down like in one phrase. I never left.
Hello.
You know what I mean? When you put the work in, it's all about the work in. So you don't know when anything's going to happen. Uncertainty is the way of life, but uncertainty is the breeding ground for creativity. So when you have that creativity on your side, curiosity and that have combined together, that's what I walk with. Those are my friends, my best friends. And I've been just moving through time and knowing that, hey, at some point, you're going to get there. And year after year, I see people losing stamina. But I'm not that type of guy. I keep on going. And, you know, you haven't seen nothing yet. This is just the beginning. Now people are getting familiar with who I am as a person. The thing is clear. Nobody can take that away from me. Resilience is part of who I am. And, you know, I don't have to speak too much on that anymore because, like you said, 30 years later, he's here with a nomination, Grammy nomination, in good company. And we're going to see what happens. But no matter what happened, just the fact that I've gone this far with a nomination is a win in itself. That's it. And we're going to keep it going. Bam.
And that's what I want to talk about, man. 36 years since your first, we'll just say interaction with the Academy, right?
That's right. That's good.
And how the full circle moment, and I can only imagine the call or the email, whatever it might have been that you got to say that you have a nomination back with the Grammys, right? With the Recording Academy. I know you kind of touched on it right there, but was it really that redemption, that final full circle moment? Like, I have worked hard again to be at the point right here, and this time it was my way that we're doing it.
Well, you know, life is an internal circle, right? So this being said, life being a circle, within this circle of life, there are several circles that you have to, you know, come around to and finish to have a complete life. I have more on my clock, and I'm going to keep going, but this is just one of the circle within the circle of life. You know, music is next. Yes, nominated for a Grammy for an audiobook, storytelling, but what about getting a Grammy for music? Because that's where it all started, right? It's not. I'm not saying I want a Grammy. That's not what I'm saying. But I think that ethics, hard work, passion shows up at some point. And because of me getting back into the ecosystem of the Grammys, I've been meeting a lot of musicians because, you know, we're talking about my peers. My peers brought me here. It's not a popularity contest. It's my peers. And some of the people who voted for me, they relate to my story because everyone in the industry, any kinds of industry, understand that when you deal with corporations and companies and business, you know, you're going to get yours. You're going to get your story. Everyone has a story, but especially in the music industry, they relate to me. And, you know, by presenting my project to many, they came to me and said, man, I feel you. I got my horror stories too, and I look at them in the eyes. It's like, I know I'm not the only one. I'm not the last one, but I'm the poster boy. And if I can amplify the message of be careful, invest in yourself, your health, work on your craft, be as independent as you can with your creativity, you'll add value to who you are, and then it'll be more difficult for others to take advantage of you. And then, of course, you got to protect yourself with legal representation to top it all off. And then you become like, you're pretty solid. And then your decision making will be well thought out. Facts.
Oh, man. Yeah. Dropping the gems on us early. Let's talk about the project right quick. It's true.
Yes.
This is the audiobook and the actual book here. I'm more of the audio type of, I guess, would you say I'm not an audio reader? I'm an audio learner or, listener on an audiobook. That's how I consume a lot of any type of book out now. And I saw the documentary a couple months ago, and just because, I'm a fan, and I think Milli Vanilli, like those songs and you guys, the posters, I mean, we were in talent shows in elementary school and like definitely a part of our growing up. And watching the documentary now I've been in radio 26 years, really, and you've heard the rumors, you've heard different stories, you've heard, whatever might happen, but never from your perspective, the group's perspective, right? And so being a industry professional, I really enjoyed it. And now having this conversation and checking out a couple of chapters from the audiobook now. Was the audiobook always part of the plan?
So when we finished the book, we did the book, and then they came to me and were like, in today's world, you have to do an audiobook. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, you mean me? And I was like, oh no, you want me to, after I've gone through excavating all my feelings, being vulnerable, now you want me to take it to the next level and record it myself and relive everything? So we looked at a couple options, and I could have gone to a recording studio with an engineer. And then when I looked at that, I was like, I don't like it. I think I just have to be by myself. So I recorded myself. I had a whole schedule. Morning starts at 8, boom. And sometimes it got really emotional. But I thought, me being a singer-songwriter producer, and, being in the mic and doing songs, sometimes you don't reach what you need to reach. So it was the same thing. It was my first time. But I felt like I gave it all I had because I knew that it was a moment in time. There's no do-over in life, right? And I think that's why people, when you listen to me, I take you there. It's like vulnerable as possible. And as artists, when you are as vulnerable as possible, that's when the magic happens. And I understood that quickly in the process. So I was like, you know what, just go and just talk from your heart and just do it. And in the end, when I listen to it, still now when I check it out, I'm like, ooh, man, I'm feeling it.
Yeah. And I think it does give us a deeper perspective than watching a documentary. I think opens the eyes, right? If you're not aware of what can happen in the music industry, this can open the eyes. But I think the book just gives us a deeper look.
Took you further, bro.
Right there.
Of course, man. It's just being personal, from my childhood. And that's also something that I was suppressing for years. But with my co-writer, Barissa Rose, she was like, hey, there's something there, and, it's like almost being in therapy. You're like, hey, well, you blocking that? I'm like, we're here for a reason. And I knew I was here for a reason to just unveil and just, free myself at the same time. So I can say when I was done with the project, I felt like I went to another level, as a human being. As a result, I became a better father. I had better understanding about who I was, my role as a father, because I was analyzing my growth with my parents as a kid and see how it affected me later on in life. So now that I understood that very clearly by looking deep inside myself, I'm like, okay, kids live by example, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write that book, because at first I thought of that. Do I want my kids to read that? But I thought, yeah. There's going to be dark and light, but they can learn from Pops, like that. So I'm glad that I did it, and the reception has been amazing. Couples reading it together and just feeling it people from all walks of life can learn from that book. That's how I feel.
Yeah. And so how did you link up with Parisa Rose? I mean, was this something that you guys had a previous relationship and you thought, hey, this
No,
might be a good time to do it, or?
no. What happened was I was being approached by different types of people, and then when I was looking at the normal route, the publisher route, it was very clinical. It was like I know this guy was going to start at 8 o'clock, finish at 5, and be like, not really personal. And then I did an interview with the Los Angeles Tribune, and it felt like it was good question. And then Tessa, my partner, with who I have 4 kids, she was like, that was a different interview. We should talk to them. I was like, okay, well, let's talk to them. And then one thing led to the next. And I'm so pleased that I didn't take the normal route, because this route was the one. It was honest. It was genuine. It was a year process. And we went deep. And as a result of making this book, I feel good about life. I look at life very differently, and I had to say some of those things, some of my truths. I like to use that expression. The truth takes the stairs, while the lies take the elevator. And we do that to ourselves as well.
Yeah.
We suppress things, but suppressing is the wrong thing to do for yourself, because eventually it's just like when you shake a bottle of champagne, it will explode in your face. So you've got to heal yourself so you can enjoy and live that best life that you deserve as a human being.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on, Fab.
Yes, sir.
So we had the documentary. Now we got the book out and the audiobook nominated for Grammys.
Bam.
But is there still something or a misconception that you hope people can put to rest, or it clarifies something from the book? Or is there still something out there, and this could be an and, is there still something out there that you want people to say, hey, I know this kind of still exists, but this is me now. This is, no matter what you heard, no matter what you read, no matter what you've seen, this is it. It needs to be deaded right now.
Okay, damn. Well, what I'll say is, when you look at Milli Vanilli, you only got half of me, because we didn't see on the record. But everything from the dancing, from the performance, from the style, from swag, all on out, that's me. Now, and that was mine, 100%, made by us, for us, Rob and I, right? On the music end now, you're about to discover, but the talent was always there. The person that you're meeting today was always there. This human being passionate about music and realizing how important music was to my soul and to the world, is that I'm that guy. And I am still in music, because I know that music is a powerful medium that knows no bounds. It's invisible. We hear it. We can't touch it, but it sure does affect you in a major way. So I want to have a song on people's lips, just like One Love. I want to have that. I want to have one of those songs that heals people, that awakes them, that makes them see the light and change their lives as a result. Amen.
Fab Morvan is here.
Yes, sir.
One half of the iconic group, Milli Vanilli. We're breaking down, It's True, the audiobook, the book out now. We touched on the misconceptions. We just talked on the talent, and that's what I want to talk about right quick, because we live in an age where TikTok, Instagram, it's all about lip syncing. It's all about just taking the music and the soundtrack, and whether it's a meme or it's an actual song. Sure. And it's just a whole different culture right now. But the talent, and I think what makes some of these videos go, just to show you like what we're in now, the environment that we live in, is, you touched on it, the producing of the talent, the actual dancing, the movement, the selling the song that can make that video go viral. So salute to you, because that's the way I felt after everything. I'm like, but these guys, it still takes a toll on your body to tour every day, to show up every day. There's a stress on you personally. There's a stress on your family, on the relationships. And now we see people with the backing vocals. They're performing with backing vocals. You don't even really hear the artist anymore anyways. And so I think it's just so interesting that 20-something, 30-something years later, that is our industry economy. That's the music economy right now.
But you know what?
That really matters. How do you look on stage?
But you know what I like to say? I like to keep it old school, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep it old school, and that's the future. Believe it or not,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
being old school is the future. Because as much as we get closer to AI, to Sunos, and to all the software that allows you to prompt the computer, and then boom, you got a song all ready. Okay, it's cool. I call that progress. That's cool. But don't get it twisted. It's when it's time to go on stage, that's a part of it that you're gonna have to deliver. The dancing, whatever video, you know, when you're in a video, people can speed up the speed at which you dance. They can speed up that too. You know, your vocals, like the melodyne and the out of tune and all that stuff. In the end, you got to be able to get on stage and do that. And the ones that are going to withstand every step and end up at the top of the line are the ones that are able to do all that. And you cannot deny the fact that he's dancing. I mean, look at Chris Brown, man. Wow. You know, they count him out. People thought like he was done, he was cooked. He's one of the biggest right now. Look at the tour. Look at the vibe. Look at the dancing, the singing, everything. He's on point. So that I call that old school. He comes from the old school, and he's doing the best. So, you know, I grew up on Michael Jackson's and you know, people from the 70s, the 80s, the 60s, you know, the greats. Study the greats, so you can turn into something good and maybe possibly great and maybe amazing, fantabulous. But you got to study the greats and pay homage to that.
Of course. Do you think it's harder or is it easier for artists now? Because you just mentioned Chris, but we talked about kind of social media and all that. But overall, do you think it's harder or easier for him?
You know, it's so vast. There's so much music that comes out. So that's to begin with. There's so much music being released every day. And now, as a listener, how do you find what you find? How do you find what you love? So it's about, I think you got to take it like to the streets, do the gigs, and work it organically. And then you'll build a fan base. Yeah, social media is cool. You can do stuff on cameras and all that, gimmick. But in the end, if you sit down there with just a guitar, and that's how I started back in the days. I took a guitar player myself, you know, and just went to Hollywood and do open mic and just did it. And then I had 10 people in the room, and then you could tell if you're losing them. You're like, oh, damn, I'm losing that guy. And that was the best I could have ever done for myself. When you're on stage with 20,000, you're up there, you know, yeah, you connect. But when you do those acoustic gigs with 20 people in the room and you're able to really grab their soul and have them pay attention to what you're saying and how you're vibing and have them be receptive, then you good. You're doing something.
People have thought outside, trying to think outside the box so much that it's like, what's happening back inside that box? Can we get back to that? And we're finally seeing that.
That's right, man.
But speaking of music, you've had a couple projects out. You got a couple records that have, since like 23, 24, that have kind of get some traction here. Let's talk about those right quick.
Okay, so you got, you know what I did is when the movie came out in 24, I was asked with Sony if I could re-record Girl Nostro. So I did Girl Nostro in a Latin reggaeton flavor.
Yeah, a little Afro beat kind of
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Then I did an acoustic of Blame It on the Rain. Just like, you know, bare bones, like basics. Then I did a cover of You Don't Have to Take Your Clothes Off from German Stewart, right? And then I got another Be the One with a hero from the 90s, Ray from Two Unlimited. Did that too. And then what we got, then I have right now an Afro beat version. It's titled Milli Vanilli. You know, and that's a cool one too. So, you know, I never stop. You know, I never stopped, never left. And I'm sitting in a lot of music. I DJ as well. COVID kind of stopped everything, but I love electronic music. I play house, tech house, deep house. That's also like, I'm coming with that too. So this year, you can expect new music because I got to take advantage of that. Like people know, man. Oh, Fab Morvan is here. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, there's a nomination. Let's see what happens. But it all comes down to where I started. And where I started was music. I'm a music lover. I love music. And I always tell that little story. It's a metaphor. I turned to music back then. I said, yo, what should I do? And she said, you love me? I said, man, I love you. She said, show me how much. And then from that point on, I kept her by my side and I went. And year after year, I gained confidence because of music, because of writing music and working on my craft. So my advice to any artist out there, yeah, social media this, and that, but skills, your craft, the time you spend in that little room working on your guitar playing, because in the end, you're going to have to deliver, go on stage, and play that live. Whether you can sing, dance, whatever, but it all comes down to your talent. A lot of people record songs or sing like, they're singing live on social media, but then they use Melodyne, incorporate it into it's crazy. It got so sneaky nowadays, But hey, I call that progress, and it's so cool. But keep it old school. That's it.
Hey, Fab, just because we talked about like all of your talent and everything you do, I didn't even know you were DJing. We have to get you out here my way so we can get a little set of it. That's what we can afford.
Let me know.
But between you and Rob, I'm just take it back right quick because on the documentary it showed like he would do more of the singing, you would do more of the rapping from what I've seen in the clips, right? And just watching the music videos.
Yeah.
Was that like, hey, designed, Rob will do this, you'll stay in this lane, but were you guys?
No, I'll tell you right now, I know where you're going. So when we got the track and it was like, okay, this is what you're going to do, guys, because we couldn't get out of that trap. In order to get out of that trap, we said we did that one song, we signed an agreement for 3 albums, but we thought it was just one single. That's how much we knew about the music industry. So when it came time to choose that, Rob was like, I'm doing this. I'm like, why you want to pick that? It was like, yeah, I want this. And then I looked at my part, I was like, yeah, but that's a lot of work. He was like, yeah, but I'm taking this. So, he was like, no, I'm not moving. I want to do this because it was not much. Girl, it's true. Ooh, I love you. And I had to work on the rap. So at first I was just miming the stuff, but then I was like, okay, I got to do it. And we sang, we sang. Rob played guitar. I sang with him. We made harmonies together. We loved Prince. We loved Bob Marley. Rob's sister was an Elvis impersonator. So he grew up playing guitar, he didn't have much skills on the guitar, like basic blues chords, but he could play a little bit, and we sang together, so that's how we started. Okay, I be the rapper and you do the singing. That's how it popped up.
So looking back, had you known or really read, because that's super key, we always hear looking back, read the contracts more clear, and some people would argue that's got to be
no, it's not even the you got one point clear, but the contract was in German, so I'm a French dude.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So, but when it came time to sign, I was like, Rob, is that okay? He was like, yeah, okay. Okay, I trust my dude, and the money was on the table. He was like, okay, well, the dream is right there. So we didn't know about the trap yet. Right. Everything looked like it was on the up and up at that moment. So you signed with one of the biggest recording producer at the time. It was like a Quincy Jones of the time, with the studios, 4 studios, every wall lined up with platinum records, gold records, so yeah, we the flame is right there, and you want to get close to that flame. Unfortunately, we got so close to that flame that, Rob got burned to a crisp. I got burnt, but I was able to survive, and I went back to the basics, really discovering who I was as a human being, forgive myself for letting that happen, forgiving the ones who hurt me as well, so I could move. Otherwise, I was going in circle. I was in a dark place. So in order to get away from the darkness, I turned the dark into positive and found the light with the help of music. And this is why I'm here, and this is why I'm here. Music is magical, and I will stay close to it.
Fab Morvan, thank you for sharing that. And I think just to go along with that, we know what happened within the trap in one of your chapters, Zero Apologies or No Apologies. I know maybe publicly it didn't come out the way you wanted, but were there conversations that were people that were behind the scenes, even though we know, when you talk about this in the book, that they knew what was going on?
Listen, man, when I got to the United States, I didn't sound anywhere close to what I sound like when I speak English. It was a thick French and German accent. So I started noticing that there were people from different parts of America, like you got the Southern, you got the Central accents, and I thought to myself, if I notice what they sound like, how could they not notice what I sound like? So the staff knew the minute we stepped into that office, like, they got an accent. And that accent never left. It was still there. So, when you go on promotion, radio promotion, they talk to you, they're like, they look at you, they're like, that can't be them. Because those guys, the way they sounded, Brett Al sounded like a middle-aged dude, like her. It was that thing, and we had those higher pitched voices at the time, like 22, 24, so they knew. Everyone knew. But the people, the gatekeepers made the deal. And the ones who work for the gatekeepers, they got to, in order to keep your job and feed your family, keep the mortgage going, get that car.
Yeah.
You gotta listen to the boss that says, hey, this is the deal. No questions asked. Just you work for me. That's all. It's about money in the end, sadly. It is. What he said?
Ever apologize to you?
Nobody, man. They just used us and threw us to the trash. But hey, I'm not the first or the last one. Like I said, right. This is the way the industry is built. And even if you look at contracts and how the percentages are divided, like, man, that's mob style. Because where did it come from? And I talk about that in the book. The mob, they're the ones. The speakeasy. That's where those artists started to perform, and then they realized, like, oh, okay, we can wash money for selling liquors. We use the music like as a means, like as a front, and then the money comes in. So the contract they gave to the artist was like, okay, well, you get this. And because it was the mob, like, you're not going to go against the gangsters.
Right.
You're not going to do that, right? And that's where everything comes from. So when you look at those contracts, and even to this day, it's so hard. Now they got 360 now. They took it to the next level. It was never good, but then year after year, it gets worse. So now they got 360 now. The artist, if you're a known artist who was able to just jump off into another situation, now you can say, no, you ain't touching my live concerts. But the new artists that are coming in, like, yeah, 360, that's the norm now. That's the way it works. So what you have to do as an artist is build your brand, bring value into your brand, and then they'll have to like bow down and be like, okay, what you need? Well, you came to me, right? So let's talk.
Would you ever sign with another major, or are you keeping it independent? What's the deal here?
Man, look at Chris, man. He did it indie as long as he wanted. He didn't need nobody, but they came knocking like, hey, man. So now I don't know what kind of deal he's got, but he got a good thing going. That's what I want.
Let's go. That deal's coming back. The biggest and best one for you ever. Hey, I know we got just a couple minutes left. Fab, I just want to say thank you for your time again.
Pleasure.
I want to have a little fun, man, because we're going to end on a high note. We're celebrating you.
Okay.
Again, up for Audiobook of the Year with You Know It's True. Get that everywhere right now. Stream it, download it. Go pick up the physical copy. Matter of fact, next time
do it. Yes.
You got to sign one. Real quick, rapid fire. 180s song, though, that still makes you smile. Fab Morvan, what you got?
Oh, dum 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 dum. But not the Ice version, the Queen version.
Yeah, man. Yeah. All right. Favorite city to perform back then?
Miami's
still popping right now. Every time you go to Miami, it's on that.
Miami.
One thing about the 80s music industry, people romanticize too much.
Oh man, they think it's so glamour, man. It ain't. It's hard work, man. You're popping on stage, but then you got to pack up the whole stage. You got to go to the next state or city and do the same thing and have the same energy because they came for you. You cannot like go halfway. You got to go 100%, give it all you got. That's the life, and it's hard.
And what's one thing that you just miss about that era?
What I miss is like the freedom that was there. You know what I mean? Whether you were at a party, there were no phones. You could hang out. Nobody was like, oh, let me take a photo. The freedom, the artistic freedom, people coming together of all types of artists coming together. Like, if you look at Run DMC and Aerosmith, that was like fire just to see that. Linkin Park, Jay-Z, they did it, kind of like that. But yeah, man, I'd love to see artists mix more together. That's what I love to see. That's what I miss about the 80s. And, look at the 80s, the different type of sound and everything that came around. It was like so versatile. I love that and I miss that. And maybe it can come back. You know, it's all up on you artists out there. Mix. You know, music is just music. Don't think that because you're in a country corner, you should stay in a country corner. Go mix with rock, with pop, with dance, whatever it might be. And we've seen a little bit of that country with, you know, and I love that. Just let's mix it up. Urban with country. It's happening right now.
Pitbull does it really well. You know, that's
man.
what we need. We need a Fab Morvan and Pitbull collaboration somehow.
I'm all up for collab, man.
Let's
I'm
go.
all up for that. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's make that happen.
Chris, it was a pleasure talking to you, man. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Let me see that jacket right quick. That's that family, right? Hold on. Let me see that.
Fab Milli is a toolbox with 14 tools that have allowed me to just survive, really, through time travel. That's what that is. And resilience is at the top. Health is at the top. No, mental health, physical health is connected. And I'm lucky and glad that I thought about that earlier and understood the importance of it. And I've been living by that. Curiosity, creativity, you know, resonance. Also, discipline is really at the top. Without discipline, ain't nothing happening.
They can learn more about them and what they mean to you specifically where? Where can they go?
FabMilli.com. FabMilly.com. Let's go.
Hey, well, good luck at the Grammys this weekend. I hope you come back with another one. This one, you keep it, it's yours. You determine.
Yes.
You define
sir.
everything your way now. Fab Morvan, much love, baby.
Here we go, man. One love. One love. Yes.